Today we're going to Mandarake, a store in Tokyo, Japan that sells a lot of great collectible items. From anime, tokusatsu, and giant robots to stuff we probably shouldn't see. We'll be looking at mainly the top 2 floors. This is the 8th floor, which I rushed straight to because I wanted to see all the nerdy items they had over here. Now this store is in Akihabara, a district in Tokyo mainly known for its anime and electronics. Generally things are a little bit pricier here, like look at that. A little over 240 USD, but it's actually something that's a precursor to Transformers. I am very nerdy and run a whole Transformers YouTube channel. But anyways, let's look at the rest of what we have over here. So many vintage items that I think a lot of people might like. And moving forward to this section, now we're starting to get into the Transformers and Diaclone. This is what I mainly came to this store for my other YouTube channel. They have a really great selection here, but there is another store in Osaka that has an even bigger selection. But anyways, this is one store I will definitely have to return to when I visit Japan and probably make an updated video on. So for the Transformers, there's a lot of Western releases here. I'm not seeing anything that's like a Japanese exclusive. Now, $100 for this Bumblebee over here is actually a fairly decent price, I think. And coming further down, we have a lot more packaged Transformers items. And here are the newer MPG figures. We will also be checking out the 7th floor downstairs, just to see what else they have. This store is 8 stories tall, but shops in Japan are mainly kind of skinny and small, so everything has to be layered up into each section having its own floor. And this is actually a figure I really wanted, so I went ahead and made the purchase for it. But now we're moving into some of the more interesting items. These types of things are very, they're very easy to find in Japan. And honestly, I think it might be fun to kind of review these on this channel. Like this genuinely looks cool. However, I do want to keep this channel mainly for travel stuff when I go back to Japan and for the extra footage I already have. Oh, and if you like Gundam, there's a lot of it in Japan. But let's see what's over here. So we have a lot more anime figures that are in the more interesting varieties. Let's move on. So coming back to this side, I've found more Transformers. This was really cool to see. There are some pretty rare items here. The blackout figure in the back is a very rare item amongst Transformers collectors. It was about $125 at this store in open box, but online it can range from $400 to $600 USD. Now the Optimus figure at the bottom left I bought at Yodobashi earlier. That is another great store in Japan to visit. It's mainly an electronics store, but they do have a great selection of figures. Up here is the more Japanese stuff. And looking over to the other side, these seem like a lot of mecha model kits. I don't really know too much about this, but back to the Transformers, we have a lot over here. Once again, I have a lot of footage of this because I was mainly recording for my main YouTube channel where I review Transformers, and there is just so much over here. I believe I bought this for 30 bucks when originally it goes for 80 online. I can't tell, but this might actually be a knockoff because I think it's larger than the official one. Transformers fans tend to buy knockoffs anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But now we're going to be moving on to some of the other ones here. Yeah, so this store is one of the best spots for Transformers. We even have some really old stuff down here. But don't worry, we'll get to some of the other things this store has to offer as well. Like right over here, we have some Evangelion figures, some more interesting ones, and turning around we have some more mecha stuff. I think any sort of niche mecha or anime series that you're into, you'll probably find a product for it here in Japan. And once again, back to more giant robots. The current 8th floor that we're on specifically caters to a lot of giant robot series. There's a lot of stuff here I wish I bought during my first visit, but it was my first day in Japan, so I didn't want to blow all my money in one day. If there's any item here that you see in this video that you think looks cool, leave a comment down below. I really want to start posting more on this channel and get it monetized as fast as possible. I don't want to be one of those cringy people who make videos about Japan, especially like, oh, look at this. This is really cool. As I was saying, I don't want to over dramatize or romanticize everything. I kind of just want to focus on making raw and genuine videos for this channel. I mean, you do have to do it a little bit for YouTube. I just don't want to overdo it. Floor only. At this point, we're only halfway through this floor only. We still have the 7th floor to go through. But anyways, looking here, these are a bunch of model kits. There are so many model kits in Japan. Okay, so I found this section that has all the video game items. I guess we've moved on from giant robots. I personally don't play video games as much as I used to anymore because I'm so busy, but it's still really cool to see all the ones that are here, and I bet you that everything here is much cheaper than what you'd find in the States. Why spend $200 on a figure when you can spend $1,600 on a plane ticket to Japan and buy it for $50 here? Like, look at all the Gundam figures. Look at all the interesting figures. And by the way, if you are enjoying this video, please leave a like and subscribe. Doing so really helps this new channel out. I do not expect shoes and bags comics on this floor, but that is something. So this looks like all the Disney items, and I believe this is all the Western stuff. Some of these are like Japanese releases of Western items. The amount of Star Wars stuff I've found in Japan is really surprising. There's a lot over here. If I remember correctly, I think I found a sort of pop-up Star Wars store in one of the train stations of Japan. I don't really know if it's actually popular here because I was at an anime convention in Japan and another cosplay event, and no one really dressed up as any Star Wars characters. Oh my god. Oh my god. No one dressed up as any Western characters either. Look at this funny Ninja Turtle. But as I was saying, at those events, people mainly cosplayed from anime, tokusatsu, like Kamen Rider, and I think people did a lot of Genshin Impact. Now here we have a lot of the higher grade collector items. Some of the Western stuff might be a little too expensive in Japan because it's kind of imported, but you might find some good deals, so I would still compare prices online. So I actually went ahead and bought this Aqua figure, and this entire section is for Figma figures. I think a lot of them are used. The Aqua figure I bought was definitely used, and it was in fairly decent condition. It could have been better. All the items are labeled as opened or unopened or resealed, or they might say if the box or figure is damaged on them, so make sure to carefully read those labels or translate them so you don't accidentally buy something that's broken. This store deals in a lot of these types of stuff, so they're more on top of that, because I unfortunately did go to a book off that was pretty far out from outside of Tokyo, and I ended up buying a Transformers figure that I later found out had missing feet, and I did also buy another used item that ended up having a bit more scratches than I would have liked on it. Mandarake actually opens up the items for you and lets you inspect them. And now we're on the 7th floor. This has a lot more anime, but also tokusatsu. The 7th and 8th floor are mainly where all the figures are at. I didn't really look into any of the other floors, so I'm not really sure what's there. I like completely ignored them. But when I go back, I think I could make a full video of the entire store. Oh, and by the way, as you're seeing here, there's a lot of Ultraman, and as we move here, we have more tokusatsu items. This side appears to be old vintage toys, and as we move further along, oh, and there's a lot of Godzilla items in this store. I believe in Japan there is an entire Godzilla store. I did not go there because I'm not a big fan of Godzilla. I prefer the superhero tokusatsu. So over here we have Power Rangers. Fairly reasonable price, slightly more expensive than you would find in the US, but they don't make these anymore. But in this shelf, we also have these Super Sentai items. So this Power Rangers in Space Megazord with the figure is $220. But I remember buying just the figure loose on its own years ago for around $20, and this Sentai toy is around $20. So it's safe to say a lot of the Super Sentai items are going to be cheaper in Japan. Now they do have a Mandarake specialty store that's entirely Super Sentai related. They have one for Kamen Rider and Gundam as well, but that is in a different location. And I could make a video on that in the future on this channel. Oh, and here are all the gimmicky items for a lot of the changers. It's crazy because it's so hard and expensive to find all of these items in the US. You usually end up shelling out a lot of dollars. But here in Japan, they're everywhere, so they're kind of cheap. And here's some of the roleplay stuff that a lot of collectors might like. There's some older ones like the Jetman one back there, some more older stuff. So this looks like the higher grade collector items in this section. Yeah, this is where the expensive items are. We also have some of the Sentai robos at the top, a lot more of the roleplay items. This looks amazing and is about 300 USD. So yeah, this section has a lot of the Sentai robos. I was almost tempted to get this. I kind of regret skipping it, but as we move over, I believe these are some of the vintage ones. And obviously I don't know everything that's going to be here, but these don't seem Sentai related. They seem to be from a different series, or at least some of them. So I took a look to see what's back here. I think they're still organizing all the items here. I'm not really sure, but there's a lot here and there's some Kamen Rider. But if we actually move further down to this section, we have the Kamen Rider figure arts, and there is so much. If a store in the US had these, you would be spending like anywhere between $50 to $100 on any of these figures. But since we're in the figures home country, everything is going to be cheaper, and a lot of these are used, so that brings the price down as well. The condition of used items in Japan is fairly good. I mean, every now and then you might run into something that's not in as premium condition as you would want it to be. I did have that issue a few times, but most of the time it is a good deal for your money. Especially if you're looking for items that aren't really in production anymore. But a lot of the time, even the new items aren't too expensive here. And a pro tip, as you go further outside the central Tokyo area, things do tend to become cheaper. But I also noticed that's where you might risk a dip in quality for any used items. But it is definitely worth a shot. I'm thinking about showing off some of the stores on this channel. This is what I bought at a later store and it was kind of scratched up. But anyways, there is a lot of Kamen Rider, which is great. I really do like Kamen Rider. And honestly, the more I go through this old footage, page, the more I regret not buying in the store because I was so focused on trying to film video that I really didn't process what I wanted and didn't want to buy. It's all kind of overwhelming because you tell yourself, oh, maybe I'll wait for another store and then you'll see more stuff there. Because at a point, I feel like your brain just can't process everything that's over here. Okay, so now we're looking at a lot of the anime items and some more on this section. This particular shelf seems to be more shonen related. We got a lot of Dragon Ball. Oh, I love Pacific Rim. And underneath we have, okay, I assume this is from a mecha anime. By the way, this is some of the stuff on the first floor. More vintage items that didn't interest me really. But over here is the discount section. Everything here was around $1 to $5, I believe. It was right when you entered the store. I don't know if it's still going to be there in the future, but definitely check this out to see if there's any items for discount that you think you might want to purchase. I saw a few things, but I kind of skipped out on most of them. And this was my day one purchase from Mandarake and some other stores. Now, if you enjoyed this video, check out this other video right over here that I think you might enjoy.